Nachos Amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers. It's a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other. It's like a little book club for music. We do an album at a time, take turns, sharing and caring and comparing and glaring sometimes. I'm Petey Rave. And I've certainly got issues. Here with me is a crew and a team and a quad, yeah. A quad of people, a quorum. We've got my team. We've got David.
Record Breakers listeners, engage.
Yes. We've got Drew.
Hey.
And we've got Brett.
Record Breakers listeners, do it.
Yeah.
Janeway, nice.
Do it.
I was telling D-Horse to poop.
Oh. Captain Janeway said that.
All right. We're here to talk about an album. Here we're talking about some music. The provider of the album this week is David. David, what have you brought for us this week?
Thank you, Petey. Record Breakers listeners, everybody across the land out there in Rapelli Podcast Network land, baby. The album that I brought to you this time around, I stumbled across while traversing the r/prog metal subreddit. I was looking for something a little bit outside of my typical comfort zone, things that might be prog, but not really. And I came across this band and their most recent album from 2019. The band is called Issues. It is their first album without one of their major members, and the album is called Beautiful Oblivion.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to expect myself, but I'd love to hear what everybody else expected. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Well, all I knew was the name of the band and the album name. I went into this one pretty blind, just knowing the type of bands that Deej here usually brings. So I was expecting something with some good musicianship, but besides that, I really didn't have any idea. Usually I expect some weird prog rock stuff when I don't know what he's bringing. So I expected at least to be near that vein, but besides that, not a clue.
Uh-huh.
Well, Drew, I want you to know, I didn't really know what I was getting either.
I have a sneaking suspicion it was a little bit of that case. Brett, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I had never heard of this band before this. I did very minimal research beforehand, and even if I did, this would not be the album where I would know what this band does in particular. This was a voyage, a new thing in many, many ways.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't heard of this band. I know that now they have a following and they have some buzz out there, but I had not heard of this band or their sound, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But what we did get was something very #interesting.
Everybody drink.
David, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes elements?
I would say that personally, I'm very, very much in favor of the idea of the post-genre music that is happening in the late 2010s, where you see a lot of artists and groups blending genres of music together almost with reckless abandon. Some of you know that I'm a big fan of Poppy, and her most recent album is doing that. And when I discovered Issues, this felt in a lot of ways very similar to that, in that idea of yeah, this may have a little bit of a metal foundation, a little bit, but other than that, musical genres, rock genres, not rock genres, whatever. We're just going to throw it all in and see what kind of musical jambalaya we come up with. Also, this definitely had some reminders of the band Voices from the Fuselage from England, where the frontman, the singer, has more pop and R&B sensibilities in his voice and in his singing, on top of being in essentially a metal band. And you definitely hear the influences of the members being all from Atlanta. You hear the R&B, you hear the pop, you hear the electronica, with the metal being the foundation. And I'm really into just this genre stew that a lot of people are doing now. I'm really into it.
Mm-hmm. I'll talk about my thoughts on what the real foundation is in a moment. But Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
The easiest way I can say it is freaking weird. But in a very good way. There were parts that were like very like early aughts new metal-ish. There was very like proggy, like thought out bits. There was a lot of R&B and like pop. Like at times I was like, this dude sounds like he should be in a boy band, like, which made no sense to me, given the backing music. But all of it fit together well, surprisingly. Like it was something that like I was not expecting, as Deej said, the genre soup to coalesce into what it did. It was something that surprised me around most every turn. And at first I wasn't sure what to 100% think, just because it didn't, again, it just was confusing at first. But when I thought about it, it makes a lot of sense. I think that this sort of mashup of very pretty, clean vocal with very crunchy, like overdriven metal guitar is something that we've heard from some of the music that we've listened to from maybe not America, that PD has brought, that has worked really well. Now, this is, of course, bringing in different elements to it, but it's something that the mix-up has happened before. And at least in albums that we've listened to and maybe different bits and pieces. And I think it actually fits together really well. And I enjoyed what I heard of it, because it was well thought out.
Mm-hmm. Brett, how would you describe this album musically?
Well, like from my reading, I did some post-listen research, and I guess each of the 13 songs represents a different facet of the band's unique musical identity. That was a quote. I didn't know that when I started listening, so I kind of was confused in my first listen. Like, what is this band trying to do? You sort of had everything from like some sweet sounding vocals, like some beats that were both digital and otherwise. You had some really technical like grooves and some swimmy modulation on guitars in some places. A piano ballad and drop tune guitars and growl vocals all on the same album.
That's right. I love it. Just throw everything in.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's doesn't like I could like it fit together as good as anything fits together, but man, it takes you on a journey.
Yeah, but not like Journey.
No, they do not take you on one.
No. I think fundamentally this is a modern pop record, but the pieces they use are metal influence and metalcore and rock influence. I do love the fact that they have the clean vocalists and the unclean vocalist. Like the classic singer and screamer, which is fascinating. All the pieces of this are things that I should enjoy. It's really well done, really well made. It's pop music with metal and rock pieces used to construct it. I think it's a pop foundation more than it is a metal foundation. Like the end core, the core goal, the ends that the metal is the means to is to make a modern pop record. This is Imagine Dragons with more distortion and actual guitars. This is Justin Bieber but with a screamer. Like. This is, all that. And that's fine. Like, I have several Dreamcatcher albums right here.
I was calling it Voices from the Fuselage with more R&B.
Yeah.
I was leaning in the other direction.
But I at least that's what I felt, and we'll talk, like we've talked about, mentioned I brought baby metal on this, and that's a juxtaposition in genres. One of my favorite bands.
Baby metal came to mind for me multiple times.
Yeah,
you're not like that came to mind for me multiple times. I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
But like, it's not something that necessarily came to. It came to mind me mostly just in thinking of how I was going to voice how I felt. And I'll think about I love Dreamcatcher. They're one of my favorite K-pop groups, and they use their very dramatic pop, but with rock instruments for the goal to be making a dramatic pop record. So a lot of these things should make me glad, and I should enjoy it, but I just didn't. And I don't know, and I wish I could give this and this was the reason I didn't like it, but it just wasn't connecting with me. It was like I was hanging out with somebody that I just couldn't get along with, but there was nothing. I couldn't point if you would talk to me later, it's like I don't like that guy. I was like, what did he do? I'm like, I can't tell you what he did. I can't tell you a specific thing. It's just his vibe.
You're just not feeling it. You're just not feeling it.
And I think
he's wearing a black vest and a brown belt. And
yeah, I mean, I think maybe a little bit of it is like the dude bro-ishness of it. Could be it. Because it is pop music, but it is dude bro modern pop music. Like it's from that style. So that could be part of it.
Is this just like how it's mixed these days? Like it does have that like every frequency is registered. The dynamics on the way that they mix this is pop album. There are straight up bass hits on this that would rumble your trunk.
Yeah, and and it's well done, and the mixing is cool, and the music, but it just
we're feeling it.
I was just feeling uneasy, and it was like, I'm like, I'm not happy, and it's just, and I kept thinking about, it's like, am I gonna sound like a hypocrite? Am I gonna sound like I was the one that brought baby metal. I was the one that I'm probably gonna bring some other sounds like that, but
Petey, with as many times as I've trashed K-pop, well, to a degree, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. If you didn't feel it, you didn't feel it.
Yeah,
it's all right, good brother. Yeah. I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, I think it's well made, it's well done. And I think I could definitely see why people love it, but it just didn't connect with me. But not to dwell on that. Let's shift into talking about some of the key things, key tracks. David, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Downfall. I'll say that first of all. Also, the hook on the song "Drink About It" is like pure candy. That is just super sweet and wonderful. Drink About It. Also, I want to say that the song "Without You" would have fit in with the really bad rap rock of the early 2000s. That there is a very strong Crazy Town vibe on this song, but in a weird way, it kind of worked for me. Kind of worked. That song "Without You." Also, I think we have to mention the song "Flexin'." because upon looking up the song, they pretty much only figured it out in a couple of minutes. And they put it on the album just to be kind of a bit of comic relief. And the video for Flexin' is pretty great. Check out the video if you're interested. Also, the title track, the chorus is fantastic, as well as how they really go for it on the second verse.
Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, for me, Here's to You. It opens it up, juxtaposing like everything pretty straightforward, like pretty right out. You get the new metal crunch, but transitions into like pretty moving guitar licks into the chorus.
Now,
if that wasn't a
Drew, I must ask you:
do
you put your new metal crunch before your milk or after your milk?
I usually before.
Okay.
If you put the thing is, if you put the milk in and then you put the new metal crunch, Wes and Fred like spill everything out of the bowl. It just makes a weird mess. Limp Bizkit references. But all the whole song, it has that like pretty, like I was saying, like that boy band vocal almost, which is very cool. Fine Forever. If you played this song completely clean, like from the melody to the bass line to the guitar to the vocals, I'm pretty sure it would fit right into like R&B radio in the 90s, and I think I'm kind of okay with that. Like take out all the effects and it would just be like you had it right before your Casey and JoJo, like just on the dial, like for no reason.
This one is like, all right, now moving on to Casey and JoJo.
Oh my life.
I don't know if these guys have done a video in the rain, but you might have just given them an idea.
Yeah.
Did you see my Facebook post?
It needs to be shot from like the ankle height level up at them,
or
in their shiny suits,
sky high down.
Yes.
Oh, I miss Hype Williams. I miss Hype Williams videos.
So get that tracking shot going. Yeah.
But then it ends with Beautiful Oblivion. And it keeps like seesawing between clean and like super crunchy throughout the song, which I really appreciated, just to sort of leave you off again with the juxtaposition of it all, which I think is again something that was kind of cool to hear.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
The things that stuck out to me in the song, like, you know, when I listened to Flex and like that had the bumpy synth bass, and also prog rock guitar, and I noted it was like great value Prince vocals going on. There was skill there. But the use of that skill was done in a way that was I'd never heard before. Get it right. Synthesizers, modulated guitars, and funk bass. That I coming up to that was not expecting. And out of all of the different varieties of music on this album, the one that really stood out for me was, there's a piano ballad on this, and like, a piano ballad not long after songs where people are drop tuned and growl vocaling. So like the meandering genre hopping. Yeah. Like they threw a piano ballad on here, and it's like, it's not just like, a piano ballad. It's like
this is the quiet storm.
There's so much effort, so much effort put into that song.
This is absolutely one that would be a video shot in the rain.
Yeah,
that's right. The rain on the piano.
Yeah,
like
no, that one is straight up just a current Justin Bieber song.
Like, maybe.
Yeah. Like we stumbled upon the demo track for Justin Bieber's upcoming ballad song. But yeah, I mean, some of the tracks. I mean, Here's to You. Yeah, it does kind of set things off and tell you where we're at and what we're going for a ride for. I will say, Downfall is a highlight track for me. I think it was one of the few. I think probably one of the few tracks where I was enjoying. At least I think there was a little bit more maturity to it, and I dug it. Get It Right. They're just horny on Maine, like just deciding to be horny on Maine. And just like which I can appreciate as someone who hails from the land of Pitbull and Two Live Crew. I can appreciate some horny hip hop rock music. And Flexin'. I kept thinking of Bad Rabbits, and I just kept thinking of how Bad Rabbits would do this a whole lot better.
Would you say their flexin' was a problem for you, Petey?
It was mostly just a pet peeve. I don't know. But it's all right. It was funny. It was comical. But it stood out, which is something to say. But yeah, let's bring it back around the horn, talk about some conclusive thoughts, conclude all over this album, and get it right. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Well, it seems like that my friend at work who overheard me listening to this album was not incorrect. He made the point that a lot of his friends also know this band. When he heard it, he was actually able to pick it out. He was like, wait, are you listening to Issues? And his friends are very much the same, where it seems to be a split between people who very much enjoy this band and people who very much don't. And I think that I've actually fallen with Deej on this one. It was something that I've said before, I'll say again, like juxtaposition in music can be very interesting when done well, and I think they do it pretty well here. It's something that I would not expect these sorts of sounds coming from the same band, and yet it was something that I found myself having fun with. It's something that I'll probably go back into from time to time. So,
yes, sir. Brett, how would you conclude on this album?
Yeah, with all of the different kinds of things going on this album, you'd think somewhere that something would hit with me, but it didn't. I didn't really fall in love with this album. It seems more like a big old scatter shot of different okay ideas that together make an even less okay idea to me. It kind of, like I listen to albums. Like I'm not like I need to listen to an album, but there is not a lot of connective tissue going on around here. It just sort of sounds like somebody that I didn't like in high school's like playlist. But there's obviously effort going on here, like skill, and it's something that I've never really experienced in an album before, but it is not for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm right there with Brett. We're kind of the it's this side versus that side. If you're watching the video, but
I knocked my microphone.
I wasn't feeling it. I think it's something where I can appreciate that it's well done. I can appreciate that they're very talented. They are skilled at their craft. They're skilled, technically speaking. They can I can always appreciate the designated singer, designated screamer. As a fan of at least a couple of bands that do that as well. And I'm not against mixing genres, as a multitude of evidence shows. It's just where does the end product land, and does it land at a place where I can vibe with? And this just didn't land somewhere where I can vibe with. Like it just didn't. I didn't connect with it. I enjoy pop music. Understatement of the century right there. See here. There's things.
Kpoppodcast.com.
has an
Yes.
entire shelf. I have an entire K-pop shelf.
Listen and subscribe to Hallyu-Juku, everybody.
I am a member of I'm a member of multiple official fan clubs of K-pop groups, but not just K-pop, but like the Carly Rae Jepsen record that Gigaloop, our friend Gigaloop brought, I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm actually making a point at some point sitting down and fully ingesting her new stuff. Enjoyed Lady Gaga. I'm enjoying what Rebecca Black is doing out there. She's doing her own singer songwriting thing, and I've been enjoying that as well. I can get down with some pop. I love rock and I love metal. I'm more of a punk than I am a metalhead, but I enjoy that stuff too. But I don't know, this just didn't connect with me. This is like, I think it's just the personality, and the personality of this record and my personality are just not copacetic. Like we just don't connect. We just don't vibe. And we wouldn't be matched on OK Cupid. That's for sure. But I mean, more power to this one. I'd say if you go check it out and listen to it before you go with our opinions, obviously, because you might enjoy it. But yeah, last but not least, David, how would you conclude on this album?
I mentioned the band Voices from the Fuselage earlier. Another band that has a singer that sings like this. Whereas Voices from the Fuselage has more ambient influence in what they do, these guys' Issues have some pop and R&B influence. I would also say that if you were to give Claudio Sanchez a 7-string guitar, you might come up with some things here. I'm personally someone with musical tastes that are extremely all over the place. I am a musical fan of extremes, and this fit me at just the right time. I liked that they were willing to be silly and stupid with a song like Flexin'. I like that they're not they're unapologetic about appreciating the extreme side of rock and metal, while also not afraid to essentially make a hit song. I can appreciate all of these extremes. I'm someone that loves extremes in change of direction on a song, on an album. If there is an album or a song or a group that kind of just stays on one track, I will get bored and I will disconnect. This really did it for me. I will probably go back to a few songs here and there because I'm definitely vibing with the whole post-genre movement that's happening. If you are enjoying Poppy's new album, I disagree. I would highly recommend Issues to you, especially this album. If you're a little bit bored with rock and metal, kind of in the standard lane that they are, give these guys a try. If you do enjoy pop and R&B, but sometimes want something that's a little, I'll say it, that's got a little bit of edge to it, this might be what you're looking for. Given that there are some crunchy guitars in here, if you are a Tesseract fan, or if you're a fan of the gent movement in general, but you don't want something that's totally dark and moody, you might enjoy this. And there's also some pretty big bass tones in it as well for the Tesseract fans out there. So I would say if you are someone that can throw the idea of genre and cohesive direction and cohesive vision on one path, and you can take that and throw it out the window, Issues, Beautiful Oblivion might be a way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, go check it out. Now we get to the main event of the evening. We get to our haiku reviews, where we sum it all up in poetic form. Put a nice bow on it. Yeah. Drew, what is your haiku?
A lot of surprise. Most of it well received. I think I like it.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what is your haiku?
Got some growl vocals and a piano ballad. Man, let's try that from the top. Got some growl vocals and a piano ballad. Not for me, you guys.
Really well performed. Pop and metalcore's clothing did not click with me. And last but not least, David, what is your haiku?
A genre blender. R&B hooks, metal crunch. Conventions challenged.
Mm-hmm. Those are our thoughts on Issues' Beautiful Oblivion. You can, of course, check it out on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. Do your due diligence and your due diligence. Do your homework. Follow along with us. You can just listen to the playlist. When it changes albums, you want to listen to the episode that it corresponds. Just back and forth and back and forth. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's record, and it'll be provided by Drew. Drew, what have you got for us next week?
So there was somebody that I actually recently found. He's blowing up on YouTube right now, becoming really, really popular. Found out that he actually got his start before YouTube in music and then acting, but found one of his albums. I really, really dug it. It's a duo. I guess they got pretty popular. This is DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. We're going with He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper.
Oh, Jayden's dad. Jayden's dad. Yeah.
The whip your hair lady's father.
Pop. I'm looking forward to that record. But that'll be next week. And this is this week. And you can, of course, find us all over the internet. David is at Call Me DJM. Brett is at HibbittyBibbert, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at X. I'm at PD Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts. You name it. You can. If you can stick an RSS in it, we got you.
And give PD Rave a positive review. Give it a 5 stars in Apple Podcasts. Well, he works really hard on these podcasts. He didn't like the album I brought this time, so give him some credit. Give him a positive review.
Rebelli TV on the YouTube and all the things. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. I guess do something with the bell, I guess. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.
Rebelli Podcast, baby.
Yeah. Tiger style.
You steal the bell like you're the goose.
Tiger style.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.